Today, we are diving deep into one of the most influential books on leadership ever written, John C. Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We're going to strip away all the myths and get to the real heart of what it means to lead.
So let's start with a simple question. When I say the word leader, what's the first image that comes to your mind? Is it a CEO in a high-rise office, a president at a podium, maybe a five-star general? Just hold that picture in your head for a second.
Because, and this is the whole point, Maxwell argues that if you're picturing the title, the uniform, or the corner office, you're already looking in the wrong place. The real essence of leadership, he says, is something you can't see on a nameplate or a business card.
So first things first, we have to tackle what Maxwell calls the leadership myth. This is all about shattering that classic and honestly outdated image of what a leader's supposed to be. And it's easy to see why, right? We're kind of programmed to think the leader is the one with the loudest voice, the most impressive title, or that magnetic charisma. But what if that's all just window dressing?
I mean, think about Mother Teresa. She didn't have a corporate title. She didn't command an army. By pretty much every conventional measure, she was the exact opposite of that powerful figure we all imagine. And yet, she inspired a global movement and had the ear of world leaders. So, how? And that question brings us right to Maxwell's first, and maybe most important law.
And here we are. This is the big one, the idea that changes everything. Maxwell calls it the law of influence, and honestly, it is the foundation that everything else is built on.
And that's it. That's the secret sauce. It's not your position, it's not your authority, it's your influence. It's the simple ability to get someone to willingly follow you. Mother Teresa was a leader because people chose to follow her mission. That's influence.
You know, this really clears things up. A manager can tell their team what to do because they have to. That's just authority. But a true leader inspires their team to want to do it. That's influence. One is a job title, the other is earned.
Okay, so if influence is the currency of leadership, the next big question is pretty obvious, right? How do you actually get it? Well, Maxwell's answer brings us to our next big idea, the law of connection. This is where the rubber meets the road.
I love this because it just completely flips the typical corporate playbook on its head. It's not about having the best PowerPoint presentation or the most logical argument. Maxwell says you have to connect with people on an emotional, human level first.
Maxwell gives this incredibly stark example to show what he means. 2 moments in George W. Bush's presidency. After 9/11, you had that iconic image of him at Ground Zero, standing on the rubble with his arm around a firefighter. He was with the people. He connected. But then, fast forward a few years to Hurricane Katrina. The first image many people saw was of him flying high over the disaster in Air Force One. The perception, fair or not, was one of distance, of disconnect. In one moment, he touched a heart. In the other, he didn't.
And that's really the bottom line here. You can't appeal to someone's logic until you've reached their heart. Connection isn't some soft skill, it's an absolute requirement for leadership. And when you get it right, it leads to something incredibly powerful.
Which brings us right to our next law, the law of respect. Because when you build real influence by making genuine connections, an amazing thing happens. People start to truly respect you, and that respect is what makes them want to come along for the ride.
Now, when Maxwell says stronger, let's be super clear. He's not talking about being physically bigger or louder. He means stronger in character, stronger in conviction, stronger in pure dedication. People are naturally drawn to that kind of inner strength.
And for this, Maxwell points to maybe one of the most incredible examples in all of history, Harriet Tubman. I mean, think about her situation. She had 0 official status, no money. She was a fugitive. In the eyes of society at the time, she had no power at all. But her strength of character was off the charts.
Despite the unbelievable danger to her own life, she went back into the heart of the slaveholding South, not once, not twice, 19 times.
And in those 19 journeys, she personally led more than 300 people to freedom. Just try to imagine the sheer courage, the force of will that must have taken.
And here's the number that's just staggering. In all of those dangerous trips, the number of people she lost was 0. Not a single one. Her leadership, her strength, earned that much respect and trust.
And that's why they followed her into the dark, risking everything, not because she was their boss, but because they respected her spirit, her courage, and her unbreakable commitment to them.
They followed a leader who was, in the ways that truly matter, stronger than themselves. So after all these big examples, what does this actually mean for us in our everyday lives? The thing is, these laws aren't just for historical icons. They're for all of us. Because leadership isn't a position you get, it's a choice you make every single day.
So where do you even begin? It's actually way simpler than you might think. It really comes down to this. First, you have to genuinely see other people as individuals who matter. Then, you get curious. You take the time to figure out what's important to them. And finally, you actively look for ways to add value to their lives, every single day. That's it. That's how you build influence, connection, and respect. It's leadership from the ground up.
And all of this brings us to one last really challenging question that Maxwell leaves us with. At the end of the day, leadership is about legacy. It's about the impact you have on others. So if your entire life could be boiled down to just one sentence, what would you want it to be? And the amazing thing is, you get to start writing that sentence today.